Hey there and welcome to GamePoints, our weekly little get-together. We talk about the past week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and I am the only one in the chat today. Our normal partner, David Smith, is on a long overdue vacation, so I will be flying the show solo. Because of that, it could be a shorter than normal show, and it's also going to be a lot of me just rambling and raving. So if you like listening to a somewhat angry gamer bitch about things, then go watch any of the other 1,000 YouTube shows that do the exact same thing, because they're going to be better than I am. Tonight, we're going to get into some Shadows of War news that was just announced, a bit of Switch information. We're going to take a look at some PSVR sales numbers, as well as the world's most intriguing / vomit-inducing VR chair. But first, welcome to GamePoints episode 81. If you're joining us live in chat here at Twitch TV /GamePoints, thank you. We do stream every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, whenever we can, even if it's just me flying solo like tonight. Please, if you're watching, feel free to join in the chat. I will try to get to questions and answer them whenever I can. It's going to be a little bit different because I'm the only one here today, but we'll see how that works out. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff down below, and comment, and whatever the hell you do on YouTube. Same with Facebook and all that other stuff. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the news and start with our first story. As I already mentioned a couple minutes ago, the Shadow of Mordor sequel, Shadow of War, was long rumored and is officially announced today. Now, this game was leaked by Target yesterday. They put up a quick advertisement on their website saying it was coming out and all that good stuff, and they quickly pulled it down. But of course, the internet never forgets, and I don't know if that kind of forced their hand to announce this a day early or if it was already planned, but earlier this morning, Shadow of War has been officially announced. Direct sequel to Shadow of Mordor. You're still playing Talion and Celebrimbor as the wraith that's inside of him. And expect more Shadow of Mordor, to be honest. It looks to still be an open world game. Sure, we're only getting CG like we're seeing here. Nothing necessarily of gameplay, but gameplay will be revealed on March 8th, and the game will be out August 22nd. I'm excited for it. It is going to be open world. I'm kind of starting to feel open world fatigue myself, but I liked Shadow of Mordor quite a bit. I loved the Nemesis system, and they're going to be expanding on that. So good on them. With any luck, we'll actually get a pretty solid game again out of it, and I like the first one. So somewhat hyped. Nah, I don't want to say hyped. I'm looking forward to this one. It does, in my opinion, really break Lord of the Rings lore. So if you're kind of offended by that, this is probably just going to go deeper down that rabbit hole. So I wouldn't necessarily pay too much attention to it. Couple things I do want to mention about this one. One, they are already starting the microtransaction push. If you take a look, you have the $59.99, $79.99, and $99.99 pre-orders on the Steam page. Keeping in mind, we don't even know what the game itself is going to look like just yet. This is all based on one trailer. How do I know there's microtransactions in it? Well, if you go for the Silver Edition, you have all this extra expansion stuff, like the Slaughter Tribe Nemesis expansion and the Outlaw Tribe Nemesis expansion. That's DLC. In fact, it even says there's $95 in total value right there for imaginary made-up digital pricing that Warner Brothers throws out. The Gold Edition, of course, comes with more if you want to go that route. Warner Brothers is pretty fucking egregious when it comes to the microtransactions, and it is super ballsy to say, hey, here's a game that we haven't shown any gameplay of, spend $60 on. By the way, in addition, you can buy all this nebulous DLC that they don't even really describe what it is. It just gives you the name and that it's supposedly $95 of value all combined. Who the hell knows if it is or not, though? That's just an arbitrary number they throw out and hope you pay for it. So, as always, I don't recommend pre-ordering it until the game's released, and yeah, you can see some reviews on it. In addition, remember, this is Warner Brothers. This is the same company that gave you the piss-poor Arkham Knight port on the PC, as well as the Mortal Kombat 10 port on the PC, which were just horribly broken, and countless other examples from this company. So if you're a PC gamer primarily, like myself, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are, highly recommend voting with your dollar and at least waiting until we see how well this thing runs on PCs before dropping down any kind of money on it. The only reason why Warner Brothers keeps doing this big pre-order DLC push is because fucking people keep doing it. And I don't want to say they don't learn their lesson, but Warner Brothers has no incentive to stop fostering this shit on us and they don't care about fixing their games because we still buy them day one. So stop it. Just keep that in mind. That aside, Shadows of Mordor looks fun. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's going to be great. But remember, don't pre-order it. There's no need to. Let me take a sip for quick. 1 second. Super professional show tonight, I know. But aren't we always? Anyways, moving on from Shadow of War, and I'm sure we'll have more information on that next week or the week after, we are going to talk about possibly the big thing this week, and that's the Nintendo Switch releasing, and some miscellaneous news that goes along with it. First thing is going to be coming via Kotaku here, and that is that the Nintendo Switch will not have a virtual console at launch. Now, let me read you the article here first. This is via Kotaku, like I said. We all thought this might be coming, and now it's official. The Virtual Console will not be live when the Switch launches next week, Nintendo said today. Virtual Console games will not be available on the Nintendo Switch at launch, the company said in a press release. We will share more information in the future. Okay. Not necessarily unexpected. I don't believe Nintendo has ever launched a system out the gate with the Virtual Console already day one enabled. That said, with how lackluster the Switch's initial lineup seems to be, with a lot of the negativity around the Wii U and how that really didn't sell at all, and just a whole bunch of general problems with the... Well, not problems, but there just seems to be a general lack of hype around this system beyond your extreme Nintendo fanboy. This is kind of another blow to it, but don't read too much into it because, like I said, Virtual Console was never really... as far as I can remember, never really enabled day one. It's just another one of those things that you can look at and go, well, that fucking sucks. When am I going to play day one on the Switch? Zelda, 1-2 Switch, and a whole bunch of ports. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? People are buying this thing day one because they want to play Zelda day one. I don't think Zelda's worth $360 for the cost of the system of the game itself, but some people are. Good news for Zelda fans, though. Apparently, this is a fantastic Zelda. It's being compared to like taking the old Nintendo Zeldas in difficulty and slapping an Ocarina of Time skin on it. So, awesome, cool. I want the Switch to succeed. Will it? We'll find out soon. That, however, is not the most disturbing bit of news coming out of the Switch. The far more troublesome and potentially catastrophic news from the Switch is the fact that the left Joy-Con seems to be having issues with pre-release consoles. Now, this news story comes via Games Right Out Plus, but everyone had a version of it up, and that is that the Nintendo Switch has a problem with its left Joy-Con desyncing, but hopefully a day one patch fixes it. Several people who got a Nintendo Switch early are reporting a recurring problem. The left Joy-Con controller has intermittent connectivity issues when detached from the console. We haven't seen this with Games Radar Switch yet, and I wouldn't be concerned if it was just one person, but there's definitely enough to establish a pattern here. And they go on to show a whole bunch of tweets from people who have legitimate Nintendo Switches in the wild. Not stolen ones, but actual consoles sent to reviewers out there. All of them seem to be having issues with the left controller. That's a problem, because if it's a firmware issue, okay, sure. Day one patches suck, but that's just the world we live in. Fixes that right out the gate. But if it's not a firmware problem, if it's a hardware problem, these are in the wild. You can't just suddenly recall them all. And if they can't fix it with software, this is a major snafu out the gate for the Switch. It is definitely something that we need to really, really, really take a close eye on. When it comes out, we need to find out if there's any reports of this happening, and we need to determine is, are people still having this problem after a patch? In which case, it's going to be a hardware issue, in which case, that could kill a console just now coming out. Because you got to figure demand for this is going to be high to a degree. Nintendo is also the masters at deliberately creating shortages to build up demand. So if your Nintendo Switch that you just bought has a fucking busted left Joy-Con, you're not really going to be easily able to get a replacement for that. It's going to be one of those things you have to contact Nintendo directly on and have them send you a replacement and hope that one works. But like I said, this all could be doomsaying. It could turn out that it was just the first batch that was sent out to reviewers because they were built a little bit quicker. I mean, I don't have the exact Nintendo manufacturing process in front of me, but it is definitely something to be leery of when you go out and get your Switch. I would be very interested to hear the first initial stories of when people are getting them, if this is a problem or if they fixed it. But we will see come Friday when the Switch actually releases. I think we're going ahead and move on the Switch to the PlayStation VR. Speaking with the New York Times, of all people, Sony Interactive Entertainment Chief Global Executive Andrew House had a whole bunch to say about the the company's first foray into VR. Here's the New York Times article right here, and that's the popularity of Sony's PlayStation VR surprises even the company. It is a very, very long article, as you can see here. I will be posting the link down below on our YouTube channel if you want to read it there. I do recommend taking a look into it, but keep in mind it is a New York Times article, so it gets very long in the tooth. It's going to be very dry because it's not really meant to be entertainment as much as meant to be informative. But I'm going to take a couple highlights from it, and we'll go from there. 1. The PlayStation VR has sold 915,000 units in the first 4 months since its release, which is more than the Oculus and the HTC combined. The Oculus had, I want to say, 250,000 sales, and the HTC had just over 400,000. And the sales total set to surpass even what Sony's internal goals were, which were supposed to be 1 million by the first 6 months. They're definitely going to be hitting that. But, let me, excuse me, talking on my own here without my partner is kind of drying my throat. Give me 1 second. Horribly unprofessional, I know, but we deal with it. Is this any good? Now, if you listen to Sony's numbers, they're saying it's great. It's what they expected. I could have sworn I remember hearing them saying 2 million, and now that number's reduced down to 1 million, so I don't know if that jives enough. I need to actually do some research on that. But if you just look at the hard digits, let's just round it up to 1 million. There are 50 million PlayStation 4s in the wild. That means there's only a 2% attach rate to the PlayStation VR to the PlayStation 4 console itself. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be enough to have developers take the systems, the piece of hardware seriously, because why are they going to build a game that only 2% of the install base of that console is going to play, or be able to play? And we haven't really had any big VR hits yet, other than Resident Evil 7. Which is amazing in VR, and that is the must-get game if you have that system. But after that, yeah, Farpoint in May. I don't think of any other major PlayStation VR games. You have, like, Bridge Commander, but I'm not even too sure if that's a full game or if it's more just an experience or not. Star Trek Bridge Commander from Ubisoft. There's a lot to unpack here. 900,000, I want to say that's good out the gate. I mean, almost 1 million in 4 months is pretty solid. And there were some shipping constraints, which could have limited the overall number of sales. But anecdotal evidence says that's really dependent on where you are in the country. For example, in the area that I'm at, you can walk into any retail store and pick one up out the gate. You go an hour up north, and they haven't had one for like 3 weeks. So it's sporadic where you're finding these across the nation. Some of them have high demand, some of them are I don't want to say overflowing, but some of them are readily available. So there's definitely some weird supply issues. It is selling better of the big 3 headsets, the PlayStation, the big 3 being the PSVR, the Vive, and the Oculus. But it's also less powerful than the other 2. A lot of that's showing that accessibility and price are going to be a big factor for people, in my opinion. There's just no one really knows how to market this thing yet. You can't show it on TV. You can't put it in a magazine ad because if you look at pictures of it, it looks far more low res than any PlayStation 4 game out there. You physically just have to get your hands on it to really see what I'm talking about here as far as what it looks like, what it feels like, and how I personally think VR is going to stick around, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. But it is going to be a long road ahead for it, and it's going to really rely on word of mouth. So these weird supply issues need to get sorted out, and I don't think Sony really knows what they're doing when it comes to marketing and supply side mechanics on this thing. But we'll definitely see how it shakes out. Like I said, the VR is a Wild West at the moment. Everyone's kind of doing a lot of different things. And one of those things is this insane-ass gaming VR chair that I have seen. Let me go ahead and bring up the video here for you so you can take a look at it. This is from a company called MMOne. This is the Project MM, I believe. This chair is called the MMOne. It is a 360-degree VR-enabled gaming chair. If you want to visit their site, I'll put the link down below in the YouTube clip as well. But as you can see, this thing completely spins you around and will shift you left to right and everything. I'm getting sick just watching this. This is very reminiscent of those Afterburner. If you remember back in the 80s and you were lucky enough to go to an arcade, and it was like a big arcade, there was these Afterburner cockpits which would spin around, not 360 degrees, but would rotate left and right and tilt up and down. This is very reminiscent of that, only on steroids. As you can see, this thing is jerking you around everywhere. There's no way anyone on a realistic budget is even going to come close to be able to afford this thing, let alone have the space to stick it, because it is massive. This, to me, is going to be one of those gimmicks that you see, like, well, at a mall or at a fair where you charge $10 for 20 minutes of play or insert whatever here. Is it cool? Yeah, it looks fucking fantastic. I'm super jazzed that this thing exists. I just don't see any practicality behind it. This strikes me as a tech advancement for tech's sake instead of a practical thing by any stretch of the imagination. Cool, but we're never going to see this again. I just wanted to share that because I thought that was a goddamn awesome looking thing. Too bad none of us, and I do mean none of us, unless Bill Gates happens to be fucking watching right now, is going to be buying that thing. But onward and upwards, I always encourage people, if they have the time and resources to invent stuff like that, knock yourself out. There's no such thing as, well, there is such a thing as a wasted project, but all this stuff can still contribute one way or another. Maybe someone can see that and go, you know what, I can make that smaller and more cost effective, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I just thought that was something that was cool. I wanted to share with everyone. Next topic. Irrational Games is no more. They closed back in 2014. But we have Ghost Story Games now. Now, what Ghost Story Games is, if I can bring up their little blog right here. It is a video game company that is founded by 12 former Irrational game developers, and their mission is simple: to create an immersive, story-driven games for people who love games and ask for something from them. While we believe our new games have a strong appeal to fans of BioShock, our new focus will allow us to craft experiences where the gameplay is as challenging as the stories. This is essentially what Ken Levine has moved on to. Ken Levine shut down Irrational Games, like I said, back in 2014, and this is a 12-man team, if I recall reading right, that he has picked of ex-Irrational Games members to do smaller projects. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if a 12-man team can deliver what I want from Ken Levine as far as the quality of BioShock and that style of game goes. But I'm not necessarily going to rule it out. I am kind of looking forward to it. We do have a small detail on what their first game is going to be. Under the facts section, if you look it up, it says that we're working on a new immersive sci-fi game with RPG elements. We haven't announced any details yet because we're still in the early stages of production. And that's literally all we know about the potential upcoming game. Cool. I mean, I've played excellent games from smaller teams before. It's just I kind of want Ken Levine to have a massive budget to do whatever he wants with it. And I don't think he's going to get one of 12 people, but we'll see how it shakes out. Yeah, Ghost Story Games, if you want to take a look on their website, linked will be down below. One thing to note, they were very, very clear in saying that you're not going to hear from their game in a long, long time. So this is going to be like a 2020 game at the earliest. And we'll see if Ken Levine still has it. And if he can make me love his new project as much as I love BioShock. Next story. Adi Shankar, the guy who's making the new CastleVania Netflix animated series, has released a poster for that very same project on Facebook. Here it is right here. As you can see, it is, well, that's a Castlevania castle if I've ever seen one. Season 1 drops 2017 on Netflix, he says from his Facebook page. I'm unbelievably excited for this series. The poster alone perfectly captures what CastleVania should be to me. Very dark, very oppressive, and really, really way out there wacky geometry. I'm excited. That this poster to me shows the man knows what Castlevania needs to be, and like everything about it just screams quality so far. But I guess we'll find out later this year. It is supposed to be coming to Netflix on 2017. My gut tells me expect this to be October. One, for the obvious Halloween connotations there, and two, just makes sense. Netflix really hasn't talked about this beyond, well, what you're seeing here in the quick announcement. You're going to need a couple months to start ramping up the hype for it if you're doing marketing, and October just seems like a good time to release it. We'll see if anything good or anything more relevant comes from this, but as far as I think this show's concerned, we are going to be done talking about this until we have like an on-scot official trailer, which should hopefully be sooner than later. We are kind of blazing through the news here. This is going to probably be a 30-minute episode or so because I don't have anyone to banter with, but moving on to our last news story of the week. Twitch, that wonderful fine platform that we are all on right now. They're going to start selling games soon through their Twitch partnered advertisers. Not advertisers, to their Twitch partners. Going to their official blog at twitch.com. Twitch is, get it on Twitch, coming soon. Twitch will start selling games and DLC via its website spring 2017. Viewers can directly buy from under the videos of partner Twitch streamers, with those getting a cut. This has all the details on it if you want to take a look at it. The little video here if you really want to play that. I'm not going to play a video in the video, though. That's kind of dumb. Long story short, though, what's going to happen is that on the bottom right of your screen, if I'm thinking correctly, if I recall the image perfectly, somewhere around that side, you'll see something that says buy this game. If so, you're watching, say, Lethal Frag playing FTL or Man vs. Game playing Neo, you'll be able to click on that button, buy that game, and the way it will work is that the publisher of the game gets 70% of the cut, the streamer gets 5%, so it's a way to kind of support the people that you're watching on Twitch, and you would assume that Twitch pockets the rest of it. They're also going to be doing like little loot boxes and gifts for people who spend more than $5, I believe the minimum goal was. So icons and little emotes and all that in the Twitch thing. You know how they've been big on like the bits and all that. Expect more of that stuff to come around. Awesome. I think this is a great idea. I'm totally fine with this as it seems. I don't see it harming anyone. As a partner, you have to opt into it, so you can choose not to do it if you don't want to. Honestly, I don't see anyone not taking advantage of this. It's just a quick, simple, like, hey, you like this game that you're seeing, you like what I'm playing, just click on the button down there. It supports me, it supports Twitch, and the publisher gets their cut. This is all part of what we're seeing with Amazon purchasing Twitch. We've been kind of wondering exactly what they're going to start doing with this. We know that there's if you have Amazon Prime, you can have Twitch Prime now and all that, but nothing really else has developed from this. Until now. This is Amazon's big aggressive move into selling games. They are trying to take away that GameStop market share, which really sucks for GameStop because they're already kind of on their last legs. And they're biting out of Best Buy and Walmart with their, if you buy a new copy of a game day release, you get 20% off of it, just straight new. Physical copies only, not digital. They need to start doing digital, in my opinion. But like I said, awesome, cool. More ways for people to make money on Twitch. More ways to keep Twitch viable. I have no problem with this whatsoever. And as I said, it seems to be all totally opt-in. Which means if you don't want to deal with it, you don't even have to have it on your channel. Knock on wood. That could change later, of course, or I could just be mistaken. But I am excited to see them getting into this. I think it's a smart idea. And I'm kind of curious to see where they build on this. The capitalist in me is very excited to see where this could potentially go. I think there's a lot of potential here for a lot of people at all levels of streaming to make money off of it. That does it for the news, so we're going to go ahead and go to new releases this week, and boy, is it a big week. First, we have Torment Tales of Numenera leaving early access on PC and also coming out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Torment is a classical-style RPG in the same vein as Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale or Baldur's Gate 2. There's been a bit of a revival of these on, with like Wasteland 2 and Pillars of Eternity. But Numenera is supposed to be a spiritual successor to Planescape Torment, but just in the Numenera setting, because they don't have the D&D Planescape setting anymore. Looks awesome. I've been waiting for this to leave early access, because as a typical rule, I don't do early access games, especially not on role-playing games, so I just kind of have to start over anyways. But that should be out tomorrow. Highly, highly recommend taking a look at it if you like the old school classic RPGs on PCs. Also coming out in about 33 minutes is Horizon Zero Dawn on the PlayStation 4. My normal co-host David is extremely excited for this and is in fact buying a PlayStation just for this game. Well, not just for this game, but this is kind of the catalyst to do it. Open world RPG set in a futuristic setting where you're a nomadic, tribalistic, human hunting robotic dinosaurs. It's kind of a couple hundred years, maybe even a couple thousand years after the fall of man. Everything's kind of reverted back to nature. It is open world, as I mentioned earlier in the show. I'm kind of suffering a bit from open world fatigue, but this looks intriguing enough with this premise for me to buy. It is by Guerrilla Games. It's the same guys that made Killzone. All the Killzone games, and oddly enough, I believe shell-shocked Nam 67 on the PlayStation 2 might have been their first game. It's good to see these guys do something else other than Killzone. I'm kind of curious to see if they can bring what they can bring to an open world game, getting out of their comfort zone. Reviews are almost universally positive for this game, and I will be playing it myself in about 30 minutes or so. So yeah. There's that PlayStation 4. Also coming out this week, The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 3 on every goddamn thing out there. This is the third season of Telltale's The Walking Dead game. You know the one, the cute, adorable, cel-shaded one featuring Clementine. Zombies everywhere, more based on the Kirkman graphic novels as opposed to the TV show, which it's not really connected to. I mean, it's a Telltale game, right? What is there to say about it? This is roughly the 13th, 14th entry that they've done if you combine all their episodes individually. You either like them or you don't. You either like what Telltale does or you don't. I personally think that they're starting to show their age, and I would like to see them update their goddamn engine for once. But that's probably not going to happen anytime soon, as long as they keep cranking these out and getting paid for them. Finally, the last big release this week, and this is a big one. The Nintendo Switch comes out on the 3rd, as does Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's the fucking Switch. We've been talking about it on this show for the past, 3 months now since it's been announced, almost nonstop. Every week something new coming out. It's a console release. Love it or hate the Switch, it is a big event. Might be Nintendo's last hurrah if it fails on them. Not as a company, but just as a hardware manufacturer. If the Switch bombs, I can see them starting to put their properties on other consoles that aren't Nintendo consoles, kind of go the way Sega did. But we'll see how that works out for them. I am hopeful this works out for them. I am not buying one day one unless I can find it for super cheap, sold off the back of the truck somewhere. But I'm rooting for them. I don't want Nintendo to fail. I absolutely don't. A strong Nintendo is good for everyone. More competition out there is good for everyone. It keeps people from getting lazy and turning into what Steam's slowly turning into. Also, nothing but good things I'm hearing about this Zelda Breath of the Wild. As I mentioned earlier in the show, they're saying it's like the old the old classic NES Zelda games with a Ocarina of Time paint coat slapped on top of it. That sounds amazing to me. I'm hearing it's very difficult, which is also exciting to me because I love harder games. I mean, I'm a Souls fan, for God's sakes. But yeah, coming out this weekend, as is all the other Switch accessories and games and everything like that. I'm not going to get into all that stuff because what more can I say about 1-2 Switch other than that? It looks like it should have been a pack-in game. Let's be honest here. That game shouldn't be sold individually. It should come with the console itself. A bunch of ports like I Am Setsuna. You could look up the list online. Let's face it, though. The only game that people really fucking care about right now at launch is Breath of the Wild. And no one's going to care about any other game on the Switch until Mario Odyssey comes out. But yeah, that does it for new releases, and actually for the show. No topic of the week this week because I can't hold a conversation with myself. I can barely do it just talking about news stories. In fact, I've already blacked out. Arms Hitmaker, I'm doing pretty good. Unfortunately, you kind of caught us at the end here. Normally, I do have a co-host. We go on for about 30 minutes longer, but he is on vacation, so it's me swinging the show on it myself, and I'm actually about to wrap up, but thanks for dropping in while you can. This has been GamePoints episode 81. We do broadcast here live every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. You can also catch us on YouTube if you can't watch us live at, well, YouTube, and just type in GamePoints, so we should pop right up. Give us a like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Yeah, like I said, very short show this week. Arms, sorry, man. My co-hosts are out, and I just kind of wanted to make sure we were consistently broadcasting every Monday. But thanks for tuning in for even this brief bit of time. This has been GamePoints episode 81, and I am out of here.